Hello and welcome back to the Rams Talk podcast. For those of you that are unfamiliar with me, I'm Jacob. I'm the new member of Rams Talk, and it might take a little bit of getting used to if I'm a little bit rough around the edges back on the podcast scene. But luckily, I've got Rich from Talking Town here with me to guide me through. And we're going to be talking about a new signing after the addition of Ben Osborne recently. Kayden Jackson seems to be on the way to Derby County, has been with Ipswich for a while. And we brought in Rich to tell us all about him. So how are you, Rich?
I'm good, Jacob. Thanks for having me, mate. And I'll hold your hand. Don't worry. I'll guide you through. You'll be all right, mate.
I might need that help.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Off the bat, I mean, we've seen that he's 30, and we've supposedly offered him a 3-year deal, as what's been touted. I think it was Lyle Thomas from Sky Sports released that news yesterday. What do you make of the deal for starters? And then we'll get into what he's like as a player.
Like I said to you before we started, I think his agent's done really well because obviously he's 30. To get him a 3-year deal and to get him a club of the size of Derby County, I think he's done wonders for him. And look, we'll get into what Kayden's like and his attributes and what he brings, but I think he's just a real good person. And obviously he's had success with Town, but it's not always been that way since he started at Town in 2018 when he signed under Paul Hurst.
So as a player, sort of an overview of the time he spent with the club, obviously back-to-back promotions. I'm assuming that his role in the team changed as you went up the league slightly. So how would you say he's perceived at Ipswich, and how would he perform? How did he perform? Like a brief overview.
Yeah, he was brought in by Paul Hurst in 18-19 when we were in the Championship. And obviously, Paul Hurst had replaced Mick McCarthy. And he went down the route of signing younger players from lower leagues. He'd come from Accrington, so he's come in then. And he was a striker then. And he played in the Championship. And he played on his own up front for quite a lot of games. He got, 3 goals in 36 games, which wasn't great. But we were a really, really poor team then. Obviously got relegated. And it was hard for Kayden. You know, he's come to a new club. And it was a little bit like sink or swim, and we sank without a trace that season, went down, finished bottom of the league, which was obviously really disappointing. You've sort of gone through that and gone to League One. Look, Kayden, I think he divides opinion, if I'm being brutally honest. Wouldn't say he's the best footballer, technically, but I think you've probably seen online, Jacob, that he works hard. He's got pace. And he's moved now to more sort of plays right-hand side. There was a spell last season when George Hurst was injured in January and, Boxing Day. But we had a run of games there where Kayden played up front on his own. Not his best position, if I'm honest. And I hope, like, when he comes to you, I'm not sure where you'll play him.
We do have a tendency to buy strikers and play them on the wing. So is that an option with
yeah,
Jackson?
Well, he's more of a wide player now. That's what we've turned him into. The second season, when we went down to League One, that was probably his best time under Paul Lambert, and he played with James Norwood up front. I think he got 11 goals, and they formed quite a good partnership. And I think if you do play a front two and you have a big man with Kayden running off him because he's got the speed, I think that could work. But more under McKenna, there was a spell when he played up front, then he tore his hamstring. But he was out in the wilderness. We had Paul Lambert. He fell out with him a little bit, and then Paul Cook come in. I remember, Jacob, seeing him playing at Bury Town, non-league team, at the start of July in 2021. It was Paul Cook. If you don't know nothing about Town, the bomb squad they were called, because he literally cleared out everybody, and he was part of that bomb squad. He was going to leave. He was out in the wilderness, and this is where it comes for me. He's got to keep his head down. McKenna's come, and he's obviously seen something in Kayden, and he's given him a new contract. And then he played in the promotion season, obviously, when we come up from League One. And then he gave him another 12 months last season. I think now it is probably his time to move on because he wasn't going to go on that journey to the Premier League. But what you'll get is someone, he'll work his socks off. He's a willing runner. And you've got to have a great attitude. If you're stuck in the reserves, you're not going to be playing. He could have easily down tools like some players do, and he probably would have been out of Town long ago. But he's not, and he's had a brilliant time. He's played a bit part. He's not played a massive part in the promotion back to the Premier League. But he's played his part, and he's a good teammate. He's a good squad player. And look, you'll get a good character. And look, obviously Paul Warne knows him, he's played up against his teams before when he was at Derby and at Rotherham. So it's interesting. When I got down here, 2013, he was part of 11 people who were in a Samsung Winner Pro contract competition. That's how he became a professional footballer. He got signed up by Swindon. He won that. Another thing, if you go on YouTube and type Kayden Jackson, Judge Rinder, see what comes up, because he's on there as well.
It seems like there's a lot more layers to Jackson than just the football.
Yeah, he's a really good character. If you look at his overall record at Town, like 199 games, 28 goals. It's not jumping off the page yet. A lot of them games are off the bench, which was where he'd done a lot of work under McKenna. He did start a few games. He got a couple of crucial goals last season. He scored against Sunderland in January when he was playing that role up front on his own. But I think if you're going to utilise him, I'm not sure what sort of formation you play, but we played 4-2-3-1, and that's where he done his best work on the right-hand side there when Wes Burns was injured. But yeah, look, he goes with all our best wishes. I would say he's definitely divides opinion, Kayden, but what you cannot doubt with him is his bloody mindedness, his hard work, and that's what you'll see every week when you see him play.
I think my main takeaway from that is actually the Judge Rinder appearance. But back onto the football, I think you've kind of summed it up there. I was going to ask you how you felt or how the sort of fan base feels about his departure. I'm assuming that with promotion to the Premier League, the time was right, really, to part ways. But what would you say that Kayden's finest moment was for the Tractor Boys wearing the Ipswich shirt?
Well, look, you've got to probably say the goal he scored against Sunderland in January. We had 2 or 3 players out that day. Hurst was not playing. We were 1-0 down at home. We'd had a few draws. He got a vital goal that got us back into the game, and we went on to win that game 2-1. But I mean, he'll always have their memories of getting promotion to the Premier League. He was there on the pitch. I remember when we beat Huddersfield and we run on, and he was one of the first players where I went to and like give him a hug. And these players, they've all created these moments. Like as a Town fan, I've been following them for 40 years, and like I've got young kids. You've created memories here that will last forever. And all of these players, whatever, like if they played 46 games. Or if they played 6 games, they've all played a little part in getting us back to where we were. And Kayden's played his part. He's not played a massive part, but he's obviously good off the pitch. He's good in the dressing room. And McKenna obviously knows the player, Jacob, because a lot of fans would have got rid of him a long time ago. But McKenna sees something in him, and he worked with him for 2 years. You know, the 2.5 years he's here, and he brought him back into the fold when he was out in the cold and he was probably going to leave Town. So people say, oh, he's not a very good footballer. McKenna sees him every day on that training field, and I'm sure he's a better judge of a player than myself and all Town fans. You know, he knows what he's doing. So that's what it says on the T-shirt. He knows exactly what we need. And McKenna knew that Kayden Jackson could play a little bit of a role in that team. And now is the time's right. And I thought when he went, look, if he gets a decent championship team, I thought maybe sort of top 6 League One team. I thought, yeah, maybe if he gets there, I could have seen him going to Rotherham. But I think Derby County, look, Warren knows what he's doing. You've got a player there he might not be the best player, and he probably will frustrate you sometimes. You know, he can burn a fullback up, and then he might put a cross in, and it goes into the goalie's hands or over the bar. But you'll always get that effort with him, and I can take that someone who's, you know what you're going to get when he comes on the pitch. He might not be the best player, but he's always good to give 110%, mate. So I just wish him all the best for you, and just hope he does really well.
I mean, fingers crossed. But I think we're definitely going to need a little bit of help. I think the squad at the moment is a little bit threadbare. I think we need to be improving with quality, and we're hoping that Jackson's going to be part of that now, because the front three or the final third is what needs work. Really, our defense is quite solid. Midfield probably needs a bit of work now. We've lost a few key players there, but it looks, for all the rumours so far and everything that we're seeing with transfer news is starting to boom recently, finally out of nowhere. We're being linked with a new player that I've never heard of every single day. But with Kayden Jackson, obviously we know a little bit about him from his time with Ipswich, really. That's where I started to pick up on the name of Kayden Jackson. What I was going to ask you was the aspects of his game that you think need the most work?
I'd say final ball, because pace is just something you obviously can't teach, and that obviously scares defenders. But there is times when he'll get in a good position, Jacob, and then his delivery's not the greatest. But then he is 30, isn't he? So he's an experienced player. He comes with a lot of experience. So look, he's going to be an experienced head in that dressing room, and he knows what the championship's about, and you've been away, 2 years out at the championship? It took us 4 to get out. So you've done that in half the time. So look, he's a good signing. He's a good, solid player, I'd say. He can run in behind, run them channels. But like I said, if you're going to play him up front on his own, I wouldn't really expect a lot, because he hasn't really got the physical sort of attributes of a striker who can play in that role. But obviously, pace scares defenders. If you can get someone who can slide them balls down the sides, you could be in business.
And what would you say that? Well, how I'm trying to think how to phrase this. When hearing of the 3-year deal, we surprised at the length of the contract that him and his agent have managed to get at the club.
Look, I guess you're 30 and you're coming into your latter years. Says me, who's nearly 50. It's weird, isn't it, when you say about football? Oh yeah, getting old, and then you think, oh well, I'm actually old. But look, he's 30, and he's obviously not going to get many more decent deals. And I think the length of the contract is probably important. I would have thought if he got a 2-year deal at Derby, he'd be doing well. But 3 years, I mean, his agent's done him well there, and hopefully he can stay fit. He had a couple of hamstring problems, which I think sometimes people with pace they're going to have. But overall, he's generally quite a fit guy. And I just hope that he's a success for you, like he was in the last 2 years of his career. Like I said, the second season was his best season it has, when he played with a partner up front. But then more of late, he has gone in the wider positions, which he's good going forward. He can track back because he's got the pace to get in there, mate. But do not contact me and saying we played Kayden Jackson up front on his own today, because you will struggle. You will struggle unless you've got a partner. I don't know who you'd partner him with if you did play 2 up front.
I think it depends now on who else we bring in. There's been mentions of Jerry Yates from Swansea on loan, who I think he got 9 goals last season. We don't know if James Collins.
But he's not the most physical, is he? Jerry Yates. He's probably someone who'd play just off the shoulder, a bit like Kayden. So you could have a bit of pace there if you played them too. But
I think it's definitely just time for change at Derby. It looks like everything's sort of changed. We've offered deals to Louis Sibley, who was playing left wing back for most of last season, and James Collins, who was the goal scorer really last season for us. And we don't know if they're signing on with us again yet. We still have Connor Washington, who didn't quite set the world alight when he was with us last season. And we've got a young lad coming through called Dosanjh Brown, who went on loan to Gateshead, smashed it there. So we don't know if he's going to be more involved with the first team. But I have a feeling that after promotion, he'll probably head back out on loan again now. So I think our kind of front 3, final third, how it's going to shape up, I don't have a clue yet. And it's exciting, but we need to make sure we get it right if we want to stay up. Because I think first and foremost, that's the plan. I can't see us doing what you did. That was
I think it was like probably a little bit different, where we signed some players. We had obviously new American owners, and we signed some players, Jacob, in League One with the eye of they could play in the Championship. Never beyond my wildest dreams did I ever think we were going to. I thought we'd do okay last season. I thought we'd be 8th to 12th. That's what I predicted. And then we just had a season where it was just unbelievable. We lost 6 games and we've gone back to back. And look, it doesn't happen very often. But look, if you can stay in the league, because look, the Championship's so unforgiving. I look at our fixtures now in the Premier League, and there's only 4 midweek games. Yet in the Championship, you've probably got at least double that.
It's got to be.
It's going to be difficult. But I could see Jackson playing with Collins up front. Running off him if he gets the flicks. And
it's if we keep Collins, really. It's going to be. So I was going to kind of ask you what you thought his best sort of position or role would be. We've kind of touched on that a little bit. So you're saying essentially that if we're playing 2 up top, maybe we play 5 at the back every now and then. I think it's something that Paul Warne really likes, with the wing backs, the attacking option down the channels. And in that kind of 5-3-2 last season, we had Collins up top, and we had someone playing off him usually. Well, we changed it around. I think Mendes Lang, who came in as a winger, he was sort of in that role behind Collins or behind whoever was up top at times. So are you suggesting sort of that he'd be better in almost like a false nine, sort of just behind the striker?
No,
kind of
I'd
role?
play. I'd play him in a 2. I don't
Yeah.
think he's cute enough to play that sort of role. He's more of a head down, flick on, running behind in the channels and that. So, but then Collins is knocking on a little bit, isn't he? When you think
He's 33, 34, I think.
I suppose it depends if you could get an upgrade on him. Really, I don't know what sort of money you've got to spend, but look, Kayden he'll run all day for you. He won't get a great number of goals. I wouldn't have thought, because he's never been prolific for us. When you look at, like, say, 28 goals over, or just a game shy of 200, it's not going to. I don't think Derby fans should get too excited that he's going to come in and he's going to score 10 to 15 goals. If he got, well, other than 11, Jacob, he's only got 3 as his highest. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to big him up here for you. I don't want to. I like Kayden. There'll be a lot of fans who say, "Oh, he's not very good." But that's football, isn't it? Because everyone's got an opinion, and someone might say he's brilliant, and someone might say he's rubbish. But he's someone I'd say in the middle. Know what you're getting. Hard work, energy, graft. You're not going to see Kayden not putting in a shift. And that's probably what you want, because everyone's going to have to be in it for you. Like you say, your first objective is going to be staying in the Championship. But then, look, Derby County, this is what I'm saying. His agent's done him a brilliant job here, because you're a big club. You are a big club. You've got a great fan base, home and away. So Kayden will be rubbing his hands together, I would have thought.
I think, to be fair, as long as we see that he puts in a shift, he determined on the pitch, that kind of, it's more about the effort. I think a lot of fan base are the same. If you can see the players putting the effort in,
Definitely,
even if it's not quite falling for them, if we can see that from him, then I'm sure he'll be welcomed in with open arms.
Yeah, you'll get that.
Hopefully, it works out well for him. I think to sort of, we've definitely learned a lot more about him than I knew beforehand. If you had to summarise Kayden Jackson, maybe in a couple of words, how would you summarise him?
I'd say bloody mindedness, because, like I say, when someone's out of the picture and they're probably training with the 23s and you're coming in every day and you're probably thinking, well, I'm not anywhere near the first team, I'm probably going to leave. But we all know football, how it does change around quickly, and managers come and go. One manager might not fancy you, the next one come in. Obviously, McKenna, he came in and he must have said something on that training ground when he came in, because obviously everyone starts with a blank sheet of paper, I would have thought. And he obviously impressed him, and he got back in the team, and look, 2 back-to-back promotions, which that can never be taken away from him.
And hopefully he can bring a little bit of that magic to Derby. Like I said, I don't think we're going to do quite the same thing that you did, but hopefully a little bit of that good luck comes with him and we can stay in the league at least.
What sort of games have you got? What's your first few fixtures?
We start on the Friday night. We're away to Blackburn. And who obviously they were struggling last season, so it's not the worst opening game. And then I think we've got Middlesbrough at home. It's, to be honest, the only sort of block of fixtures that I remember is December, because we've got Luton away, Leeds away, Burnley away, Leeds at home. It's if we can get up to December and we're okay, then I can kind of forget December. If it doesn't go too well, I can rest easy that we've had a good lead up to it. But if we're in trouble by December,
if you can obviously you need get a few wins early, then you get a few points on the board early. It's a bit like us. We've only got Liverpool and Man City first 2 games, so a couple of easy fixtures for us to start with.
I would say rather you than me, but I'm quite jealous of that, to be honest.
Well, we're just going to enjoy the ride and see where it takes us, because the last 2 seasons, I remember coming to Pride Park when we beat you 2-0 towards the end of that League One season. We've lost 10 league games, Jacob, in 2 seasons. We're probably going to have to get used to quite a few more defeats than that, I would have thought, this season. But you never know with football, do you? I think we'll have a go at the league. And obviously, I don't know if everyone's seen, we're signing Amari Hutchinson, was on loan. Broke our record transfer, which was 4.5 million by about 5 times. So, look, it's exciting times for town. Kayden was part of that, and he'll probably still keep an eye on that, because he's made friends there for life. And just all the best to him, and all the best for you for the season. And it's great to see you back in the Championship, because, like we spoke before the start of the show, it's when you're in that League One and you're going to, no disrespect to some of them grounds, you're thinking, get me out of this league as quickly as possible. And you never really want to return to that league because it's it's not the best. It's not the best football, and you want to get back to playing some, I'd say, proper teams with proper stadiums and proper fan bases, mate. Which you are, Derby, 30,000 every week.
Yeah, pretty much. But thank you for joining me, and best of luck to Ipswich as well. I'm hoping they stay up. I've got my fingers crossed for that.
We'll take 17th. We'll take 17th now if you give it to us.
Every day of the week. But thank you for joining me.
Top man, Jacob.
We'll see you soon.